Welcome to this short podcast. My name is Neil McWilliams. I'm the lecturer and program leader at KCB Global, and I lead the classes for the corporate governance module.
Hello everybody, I am Buff Cooper and I lead the lectures at KCB for risk management and development of strategy.
So, Buff and I live in the same village in Surrey, and we regularly meet in a coffee shop, Adriano's, and we discuss all things CGI students. So during our last meeting, we discussed the value of additional reading beyond the CGI study text in preparation for exams. Now, of course, the CGI study text is the essential reading for the CGI qualifying scheme modules, and the examination questions are based on it. But Buff, why should a student spend time reading beyond the study text?
Well, Neil, I think historically and in recent examiners' reports, they suggested that students should explore the syllabus beyond the authorised study manual that is published by the CGI. Now, I think there are two reasons why additional reading is important. So firstly, students may want a book that helps them gain a sort of an underpinning knowledge of the module, which then in turn helps them understand the study text better overall. So a good example of this could be a beginner's guide to accounting as a foundation for the Part 1 module, Interpreting Financial and Accounting Information. Now, we will recommend a book for this module in our next podcast. The second reason is so they can explore and contextualize the subject matter to a much higher and more critical level beyond what's in the study book. I will give an example of this when I recommend the book later on for the development of strategy. So, Neil, we're going to be presenting two podcasts. In this first podcast, we're going to suggest additional reading for the corporate governance, boardroom dynamics, and development of strategy modules. And then in our second podcast, we will look at the corporate compliance and administration, company law, interpreting financial and accounting information, and risk management modules. So look, Neil, let's kick off with corporate governance.
Yeah, thanks, Buff. So for corporate governance, I'm going to recommend two books. Now, the first book I'm going to recommend is Corporate Governance Unlocked, and that's by Alison Dillon Kaburgi. And the book is available from the CGI. It is cost £20. And what I like about the book is the fact that the topics are well presented. They're easy to read. It's half the size of the study text and provides a good understanding of many of the syllabus topics. So if you're a student without previous governance experience, then I think it's a great book to buy to use as a good introduction to the topics. What I particularly like is the chapters on corporate social responsibility and integrated reporting, because they provide good case studies to help students in understanding CSR in practice. Now, Buff, my second book is, I suspect, more advanced. It's Corporate Governance 3.0. It's written by Carl George, Simon Osborne, and Alexander van der Put. It's available on Amazon, and it costs around £25. And the book explores a range of different themes in corporate governance. So it looks at those through the lens of three generations of the evolution of corporate governance, and it's quite a thought-provoking book based on the challenges facing the board. But because the book is prepared by a variety of authors, it doesn't take the reader on a journey, but rather it provides a collection of individual and distinct chapters. Now, not all of those chapters are relevant to the CG module syllabus, but it includes great chapters on directors' duties and their implications, which of course is a key syllabus area where questions generally arise in each exam, and also the role of the company secretary, again a key area for the syllabus, so really important the students have got a good grasp of it. Buff, over to you on strategy.
Yes, well, development strategy. The book I am recommending is The Disruptors by Sally Percy. Now, Sally shares the story of 15 of the world's most innovative businesses. This book covers stories of Spotify, OpenAI, TikTok, Crocs, Tesla, Gymshark, and many, many more. Now, these businesses all disrupted and redefined their industries. The organizations took unconventional and trailblazing approaches to transforming their markets, overcoming challenges, and to be honest, achieving sensational success. So, why am I recommending this book? Well, apart from Sally's easy to read writing style, this book will give students plenty of ideas and real life examples and strategic approaches that they can take into the exam and score lots and lots of marks. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because in the examiner's report for November 24, the most recent exam, the examiner made it clear in his comments that those students who scored well were not only well prepared, but they did not just accept the status quo, but offered ideas and strategies to take the case study organizations into new directions and new frontiers. Now, extracts from his comments on part one, pre-release case study questions. I've picked out the question two that he commented about. Now, he made similar comments about all four of these questions that are optional. You'd have to answer 3 out of 4 in part A, but question two stood out the most to me. Now, he said the model answer was inviting the candidates to advocate for a disinvestment by the company in one or more of the business units. Now, in this particular case study, there were 4 business units, and what he wanted you to do was disinvest in 1 or 2 of those. But most students did not take this option, but instead sought to continue with all aspects of the business, carry on as normal. And what he then went on to say, stronger candidates were braver on this aspect. A key point made by Porter, one of the thinkers in strategy, is that at the core of strategy itself is making a choice. He wanted you to make a choice. So the question invited candidates to make a choice and be creative. So my favorite part of Sally's book is Tesla and how Elon Musk rewrote the playbook on the automotive industry. So he completely rethought the traditional supply chain, both upstream and downstream, by bypassing manufacturers of automotive parts, building his own manufacturing plants, and also the traditional use of distributor showrooms by building his own and selling his cars directly to the public. So that was my take from the book, which I think was probably the best story for me. Now, I spoke to the author today, Sally, and she said her favourite in the book was Crocs. And the reason she said it was her favourite is because she loved the sort of motto that Crocs had, which was the shoes you love to hate. Now, I think last year they sold nearly £3 billion worth of those products. But what Sally's story behind this is that she said, they took a very simple idea of a shoe and reinvented a variation of that. And they've survived 20 years, good and bad, of selling that product over and over again. Now, Sally will be joining us for the revision weekend as a guest speaker. Her book, The Disruptors, can be found on Amazon for under £15. So, Neil, on to Boardroom Dynamics.
Yeah, thanks, Buff. Boardroom Dynamics. Again, I'm going to recommend 2 books, but for 2 different reasons. The first is Building Better Boards by Seamus Gillen. That is published by Bloomsbury and is available on Amazon. It's £28, but there is a Kindle edition for £17. And the reason I like the Seamus's book is because it's insightful and practical. So whereas the study text approaches the module from quite an academic perspective, it offers models to apply to the case study exam. The book provides many practical examples and very similar to Buff and in the strategy and Sally's book. I think that is so important. And if you do not have that level of interaction with the board, if you don't have experience of board meeting, then this is a book that can really help you with that practical experience. So it addresses the subject, from that a practical perspective in areas such as culture, board composition from the perspective of demographic and cognitive diversity, and also areas such as preparing board meetings and board effectiveness. So all important areas for the within the syllabus. Now, my second book for boardroom dynamics is Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. It's a book, it's quite a famous book, of course, by Daniel Goleman, again published by Bloomsbury, and it costs £13 on Amazon, but I bought my copy recently from a second-hand book site, The World of Books, for just £5. And I saw today there's plenty of books available there. And so emotional intelligence, EQ, it, of course, does form part of the boardroom dynamics module. So it's in the chapters of psychology of the board and also the role of the governance professional. But I think more importantly, EQ, it's just such an essential skill for the company secretary because it enhances their ability to manage relationships, handle conflict and navigate, corporate complex environments. So Daniel Goleman's book, it was published about 30 years ago. It was a groundbreaking book which challenged the traditional emphasis on IQ and argued that EQ, that being the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, plays a far greater role in personal and professional achievement. So, I recommend that. The book can be hard-going reading at times. It contains some complex psychological concepts, but in my opinion, definitely worth a read. So that's my two books for boardroom dynamics.
Well, thanks, Neil. I'm sure this has been helpful for the students. And next week in our second podcast, we will give some more recommendations for additional reading. Now, Neil will be covering the modules Corporate Compliance and Administration and Company Law, and I will be giving my thoughts on interpreting financial and accounting information and risk management. Now, finally, if you haven't done so already, follow us on LinkedIn. We are KCB Global, and during 2025, we will be rolling out some important announcements about new courses, free learning resources, some subject relevant podcasts like these, webinars, and much, much more.
Buff, thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Look forward to another coffee in Adriano's this week. And to all of our students, I look forward to a podcast next week. Many thanks.